Halo, a circular band of colored light caused by the refraction and reflection of light by ice particles suspended in the atmosphere. An optical phenomenon. An aura of majesty or glory surrounding a person or thing that is regarded with reverence, awe, or sentiment. The halo symbolizes time everlasting, no beginning, no end. It's a symbol of protection, a symbol of eternity, used to signify people considered as spiritually gifted, the radiating glow of consciousness transcending the physical body, the light of divine grace suffusing the soul. The halo has always been prevalent in ancient and modern art. Yet to today's youth, a halo isn't an optical phenomenon or symbol of Christian piety. It's an alien artifact, floating ominously in the depths of space, a weapon of mass destruction built by an ancient race, mysterious, powerful, majestic. Halo is a universe where man fights for survival against a fanatical horde of alien aggressors, and that universe is the setting for the biggest video game franchise of all time.
It's a pretty well-known fact now, but Bungie, being a Mac and PC developer, really brought over a lot of Mac and PC values to the Xbox with Halo. And what they did specifically was to bring a really fantastic first-person shooter over that worked really well with smart controls, a good weapon system, a good combat system, and a great storyline. And I think, you know, with the exception of GoldenEye way back in the day in 1997, this game exemplified and sort of led first-person shooters on consoles into the future.
Halo Combat Evolved debuted alongside Microsoft's Xbox in 2001 and was met with both critical and financial success. The engrossing single-player game combined with a deep and customizable multiplayer mode created a formula that would become a global phenomenon. The debut of Halo 2 in November of 2004 further solidified the series as a gaming monolith, generating over $120 million in sales on its premiere date, a day-one record for the entertainment industry. Though Halo 2 remains one of the most popular games played on Xbox Live, the advent of the Xbox 360 opened the door for a next-generation sequel to the franchise. Gamers the world over waited patiently for Bungie to announce the details regarding their first Xbox 360 project. Microsoft's E3 press briefing would be the setting. May 9th would be the date. And the top-secret next-generation Bungie project would be officially announced as Halo 3.
Honestly, the announcement trailer, when I first heard it, I absolutely got goosebumps. The combination between being completely excited for Halo 3 and that score that brought new music into this old theme that's so familiar for those of us who've spent hours and hours playing Halo or Halo 2. That score is, it hits you. It's powerful like the Star Wars theme or like the Indiana Jones theme. You hear that, you know exactly what you're about to see. You know exactly what's about to happen.
My initial response to the Halo 3 trailer was, God damn, that's cool. I mean, kind of knew it was coming, and I know Microsoft was going to show something, but what exactly, I don't know. And since I am a fan of the series and I've read all the books, seeing that trailer was just super fantastic candy for me. It was all just candy. I loved, was it 2 minutes, 17 seconds of it, and I watched it several times. And honestly, there wasn't all that much going on there, but the few little tidbits that we got, gave us an idea of where to go from here.
Bungie has always been a developer known for including subliminal messages and Easter eggs in their games and trailers. Loyal fans will no doubt recall the I Love Bees viral marketing campaign for Halo 2, which involved users unraveling a series of codes embedded in websites and emails. The Halo 3 announcement trailer seems to serve a specific purpose. Bungie is stating that it is ready to take the leap into the next generation, and they have the technology to do so. But an educated Halo fan knows there's more to this trailer than meets the eye. Africa, the cradle of life, home to the Nile, Sahara, Mount Kilimanjaro, and an important setting for the Halo series.
I think it's kind of just an interesting place to go back to because it is just so primitive. There's not a whole lot there that's very technological, so it's a nice contrast between the technology and nature and the primitive side of humanity and of, kind of the universe. It's sort of in its elemental form.
The setting has been determined to be New Mombasa. If you look in the background, as you begin to see Master Chief walk up, in the background there's a mountain range. One of those mountains has been confirmed as being Mount Kilimanjaro. There's also a track on the Halo, I believe it's the Halo 2 Volume 2 soundtrack, called The Road to Voi. You can see Voi is near the city of Mombasa, which are both not too far from the equator. If you think about the equator, and you think about rings, you think about Halo. What is that buried under the earth? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe it's a halo.
At the closing of Halo 2, Master Chief is aboard the Prophet of Truth ship as it approaches Earth. Cortana is in the clutches of the Flood Intelligence Gravemind, and the Earth is under siege by the Covenant. In the Halo 3 unveiling, we find Master Chief walking alone in the deserts of Africa. Earth seems conquered by the Covenant. There's no sign of human life other than the Chief. Obviously, much has transpired in the timeline between the end of Halo 2 and Halo 3's debut.
So Master Chief lands on Earth, right? Somehow he manages to land on Earth, realizes the Covenant has, obliterated numerous parts of the Earth, and maybe this is one of the, since Halo 3 is going to be sort of a darker Halo, it's going to be sort of maybe the fall of man. Maybe this takes place maybe around halfway through, and Master Chief is walking the desert, and he's realizing that things are looking pretty grim, until he comes upon this quote-unquote oasis, which is this Forerunner crater, and maybe that's probably a big turn in the game when some new piece of information is revealed.
Perhaps the most mysterious aspect of the Halo 3 trailer is Cortana's distorted transmission. In a piece of Halo 3's storyboard art, we see Cortana crying out in agony. It seems as though her contact with Gravemind is taking a toll. Following the success of Bungie's Marathon series, they began marketing for their next title, a first-person shooter which would become known to the world as Halo: Combat Evolved. In February of 1999, a series of emails were uncovered by members of Bungie's online community. Emails sent by someone under the alias of Cortana. The Cortana letters have subsequently been linked to the storylines of Halo and Halo 2, and while Cortana's message in the Halo 3 trailer is indeed rather cryptic, there are some startling implications when referencing the original Cortana letters.
The Cortana letters, they originated back in February of 1999, and the first one, they get pretty long. You can find them online. Just do a search for Cortana letters, but if you want to read the whole thing. But the very first one, I think, is very telling, and so I'll read that whole one. She says, "I have walked the edge of the abyss. I have governed the unwilling. I have witnessed countless empires break before me. I have seen the most courageous soldiers fall away in fear. I was there with the angel at the tomb. I have seen your future, and I have learned there will be no more sadness, no more anger, and no more envy. I have won. Oh, and your poet Eliot had it all wrong. This is the way the world ends. A friend of a friend."
T.S. Eliot published a poem in 1925, shortly after the end of World War I, titled The Hollow Men. The poem is said to be a representation of the passing of a soul into death's dream kingdom. Eliot describes how we the living will be seen by those who have crossed with direct eyes, not as lost violent souls, but only as the hollow men, the stuffed men. The final stanza reads, "This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. Not with a bang, but a whimper."
He says, not with a bang, but with a whimper. So if Eliot had it wrong, there's probably going to be a lot of bang. It's also interesting to think that in 1999, they were already having Cortana say that this is the way the world ends.
Well, "this is the way the world ends" statement from Cortana is obviously, the big hanger for everybody to get excited about the game, because you're like, oh my god, everything's going to end. There's been some reference to a T.S. Eliot poem and actually a marathon viral campaign where Cortana says the same thing, but she's talking about it ending in a very big, violent way instead. And I didn't know about that until someone brought it up to me, and you know, that's actually a pretty interesting thought, is that, you know, they're bringing that back just to reinforce the fact that this is going to be a pretty, you know, gigantic bang instead of something, you know, small. But it also could be that, you know, if Cortana really is, you know, if it's the Flood really speaking through Cortana, then it could be the Flood saying this is the way the world ends, you know, for the Flood. It could just be him saying, you know what, I'm about to go away in a whimper or a bang. Either way you look at it, it's him saying my time has finally come. And maybe that's what that artifact is. It's something that will actually kill the Flood for good and all.
Aside from a next generation facelift, there are differences about the Chief that raise some interesting questions. Most notably, the details of his armor and the design of his weapon. One could dismiss these changes as merely a shift in graphical style, but look deeper, and behind the subtle changes lie deliberate messages.
The changes to Master Chief are really interesting, and as far as his gun goes, it's not strictly one of the assault rifles from the first Halo. It's slightly different. The casing looks slightly different. His gloves are different, although that could just be style change.
I would say that in each iteration of Halo, Bungie and its designers have modified and altered little things in the game to, in their minds, improve it, or to make it look better, or to make it a little cooler. Like, you know, with Mjolnir armor and suit, there were changes that were made from the first game to the second game, and there were new weapons added. There was a huge outcry with the public about the battle rifle versus the assault rifle, and so maybe this is Bungie's way of saying, hey, guess what, you know, we're back on Earth and we're finding some old weaponry, we're going to use this. With regard to the altered gloves or, you know, armor, I think perhaps he's gotten an upgrade. It certainly looked to me like he'd been walking through the desert and his outfit is almost a different color. Perhaps because of the sand and the atmosphere, his armor looked a lot more golden, a little more yellower, and maybe it's just because of the reflection of the sand, of the sun off the sand and onto his armor, but he was green before. That was like golden armor.
The stage is set. The pieces are moving. Halo 3 is a reality, and fans across the world are trying to follow the trail of breadcrumbs Bungie has skillfully left behind.
Bungie has a great sense of humor. You can see a sign flapping in the wind as Master Chief walks up, and there's a little grunt on the sign, like a grunt crossing sign. They actually joke on the website that the New Mombasa City Council, even when ravaged by war with the Covenant, has a very, very active public works department. So apparently during the war they were sure to put up safety signs and announcements. Little touches like that are what people spend, you know, hours and hours blowing up screens of, and keep people up nights.
Well, I think the Halo series has definitely, you know, made a big impact on gaming in general, because it did bring a whole lot of people in that didn't used to play games. And I think it's kind of along the same lines of for sci-fi video games as Aliens was for sci-fi movies. You know, it has this very human element that everybody can relate to, and it's got characters that you're like, you know what, this person's a badass, even though, you know, he's not walking around shooting his mouth off all the time. It's a very, like, subtle and good look at humanity kind of fighting for its life. You know, like Aliens was on a small level, you know, Halo was on a much grander level. But it's definitely got the good writing and the story to back it up, and I think people really can identify with that, and it definitely brought people in that might not have been there. Of course, the multiplayer also had a huge role with this, because when people were playing it, they'd invite their friends over and say, all right, I'll give it a try. And, you know, just the layout of the weapons, the layout of the levels, you know, how fast and fierce the game was, I think definitely brought in a lot more gamers into a hardcore space than were there before.
The trilogy is coming to a close. The answers are out there, but in order to step through the door, you have to open it first.